Hello everyone, this is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, and King Dio. I recently saw on my feed that Adam Sessler, formerly of X-Play, now of like some new X-Play knockoff channel, because the motherfucker can never move on from his game journalism career in the mid-2000s, because he has nothing else going on in his life. This guy has been making videos, and I've watched a handful of them, right? And I still kind of... I've been wanting to give my thoughts of Adam Sessler as a personality for a while now, because I haven't been expecting... It feels like every decade now, this motherfucker just resurfaces and just pushes himself in the limelight for just a little while to fund his cocaine habit before fucking off again. And I've had a low opinion of Adam Sessler for years now, since Gamergate, I think. Probably since before then. Actually, yeah, before Gamergate, because he was one of the most ridiculous game journalists I heard railing on Nintendo in the early new tens, right? Like, just coming up with all these weird excuses to shit on them while he was with Rev 3 Games, calling Super Mario 3D World, like, too complicated and stuff like that. And looking at this new video he put out, on Metroid Dread, him trying to say it's bad. And I didn't watch the video, because why would I, right? I skipped through it, and like there was a discussion between him and Gerard about whether or not the game is good. And like Gerard, the completionist, likes the game. Adam doesn't, apparently. And the discussion was basically focusing on the difference of having the importance of having differences in opinion and stuff like that. And that is something I greatly believe in, right? But it's a lot like the concept of equality or the concept of women's rights. It's one of those things that liberals tend to warp and twist into meaning something that it really shouldn't. In this case, when it comes to Adam's opinion on Metroid, he doesn't hate the game because it's poorly designed or not all that interesting or not all that innovative or anything like that. He hates the game because he sucks, right? Like, it's the same thing with David Jaff, right? It's the same thing with people like Darkside Phil and any one of these, grifters or shills or parasites, any one of these game journalists. Like, if a game doesn't tick their boxes of criteria for what's acceptable, namely, pushing political agendas and shitting on, their core audience and stuff like that, they don't care for it. This is something I've been meaning to talk about for a while. But Metroid, hilariously, could easily have been a franchise that was very SJW-oriented with, its female protagonist and just its primarily male fan base and stuff like that. It really could have easily been, gone down that direction. It really could have, really shit all over, its core audience if it decided to do a Last of Us Part 2 and really ruin the series in order to please game journalists, right? The reason why people like Jaff and Sessler are going after Dread is because it didn't do that. It stayed true to its roots, and it really put out an engaging, interesting, unique, fun-to-play Metroid experience, right? But Sessler, people like Sessler, people like Jaff, they have to kind of skirt around the issue. They don't want to actually talk about what the actual problem is, in that the game doesn't pander to them and their interests, their financial interests, their political agenda, or anything like that. They have to put on a facade of this being about the quality of the game in order to get people to take them seriously. And in other words, what this means is that Sessler is being disingenuous when he says it's his opinion that the game isn't good, because I've seen no real arguments going against Dread's quality as a title. I had criticisms of Dread when I first played it, right? I thought that maybe other Metroidvania games did it better. Maybe Ori has more interesting looking environments. Maybe Hollow Knight has more bosses and a bigger map and things like that. Maybe a better story. Maybe Super was better, Fusion was better, Zero Mission was better. I did bring these up in my review, but at the end of the day, I was I don't think Dread is my favorite title of the year by any stretch of the imagination, but I still liked it a lot. I had criticisms of the game, to be sure. I definitely don't agree with people who try to say this is a 10 out of 10 game or one of the best Metroids ever put out, because that's just ridiculous. It has lots of really, really strong competition. But I still love the game, right? I was honest about my opinions, right? Like I wasn't trying to push a narrative onto people. I don't get that feeling from Sessler, right? Like, I feel like he's trying to justify his own ridiculous actions when he talks about how important it is to have opinions when it comes to games, how important it is we have like diversity, how important it is that like we just give him a shot, man, and just listen to him. No, that isn't acceptable, because all you do is bitch and whine about and complain about games that don't suit your interests, your agenda, your causes, your beliefs. Like, you can't handle anything deviating from the norm. You can't handle the fact that Samus Aran isn't an SJW character, in spite of like all this hype around her and things like that. Like, you can't handle that. So you have to like try and shit all over the Metroid franchise because you're such a sellout and you have nothing else. Like, this is the entirety of like the game journalist profession, right? Is trying to shit on our hobby, trying to make it about something it isn't, to try to make it overtly, to try to make it political, to try and make it like about something it really isn't. You know what I mean? I despise Adam Sessler. I always have. I have since the Red 3 days, and this is just another example as to why. Like, Adam Sessler cannot be taken seriously.